So I'm going to talk a little bit about blockchain and gaming. My name is Psigoda. I'm the founder of a project called BitGuild. So BitGuild is a decentralized blockchain gaming platform. We launched back in February. We successfully completed an ICO of about 36,000 Ethereum, and the platform is up and operational and already running. So a little bit about my background. I previously founded a company called R2 Games. So R2 Games was a publisher of Chinese blockchain games into the US, European, and Southeast Asian markets. I've been living in China for over 10 years, working in the gaming industry the entire time. But before I got into any of this, I actually started trading virtual currencies or digital currencies back in 1999. And that was through an industry that we called RMT, or real money trade, which is essentially the trading of video game currencies for cash, which at that point in time was a very, very new concept. So I wanted to show you guys a quick video clip. This was a documentary that we were filming in 2008. And this documentary actually took place before the Satoshi white paper came out and before Bitcoin came into existence.
I struggled for years trying to explain what it was I was doing.
Usually I just say I work with video games, because if I say, I'm a virtual currency broker, people just kind of look at you like, what?
A much younger version of myself.
Based entirely on selling gold on Facebook. Virtual worlds are creating demands, and somebody's going to have to meet those demands. If they don't, somebody like me will.
It was at that time that I realized that people will spend money on virtual things no differently than they would for tangible things. That was kind of that eureka moment for me. And that's really when my company was on its way to doing $100 million in revenue.
And they said, so what you gotta do, you gotta take all the profit you made, and you gotta give it to us, or we're gonna sue you tomorrow. This is gonna end badly. Oh.
And there are a lot of people who
Business versus family. I didn't know.
This is the future of the video game industry.
And this is happening on a massive scale in countries like China. The real and virtual starts to blend together.
But I always looked at this as something that could go poof instantly.
So again, this is a film called Play Money. It originally started filming in 2008. The director ran out of money, so they just kind of put the project aside for the past 10 years. And now they're finally going to actually be releasing the full film next month. And the reason I bring up the concept of what we call gold farming or trading virtual coins, or especially in games like World of Warcraft, because in my opinion, it is very much the predecessor to cryptocurrency as we know it. So back in 1999, if you were to tell somebody that you could sell a virtual sword or a virtual coin for real money, people would laugh at you back then. I remember in 1999 when I told my mom, I said, I just sold a virtual sword for $100 United States, and there was no way in her mind to comprehend that type of a fact. But if you actually sit down and you think about the way cryptocurrencies are mined today, it is actually very similar to what we were doing in 2006 or 2008 of gold farming. There's an amount of currency and you input labor, in this case it's processing power. At that time it was having people sit in front of computers and kill monsters all day to get virtual coins. So it actually made a lot more sense to people in the gaming industry back in 2008 than it did to people in the finance industry. If you were to tell somebody from the finance industry, hey, we've got this new thing we're doing, we've got a garage and we put some computers in it and they're running really fast and using electricity, and they're mining this digital money, then a gold farmer would be like, oh yeah, that makes total sense. But somebody in the finance industry would probably be like, I don't know what you're talking about. So I think actually looking back at the history of gaming and gold farming, you can actually kind of understand a bit about cryptocurrency mining. And there's like 15 game speeches today, so I don't want to get into, most people here know the basics of the gaming industry. We started out a long time ago with the business model of arcade games, where you'd play a game, it was hard, you'd die, and you'd pay 25 cents to get another life and continue. We then got into boxed games, which is you buy the game for $50 or $60 at the store, you can play it as much as you want. We then got into subscription games, or in China we had the time card games, where you'd pay 30 renminbi or you'd pay $15 a month on your credit card, and the game developer would keep updating the game with new content, and you could play for months and months and months on end. And then it was only in about 2009, which was actually after that video was taken, that free-to-play started becoming a thing. Free-to-play started in China and Asia. At that time, it was not the top-of-the-line developers that were making free-to-play games, but we ended up realizing that games that were free were actually more profitable than games that cost money, because you could sell items within those video games and players would buy them. And obviously this is a 100 billion plus market today. So talking about blockchain gaming, I'm not one of those guys that's going to come out here and say, gaming as we know it is dead, blockchain is the future, blockchain is going to be in every game we ever see. But I think it's going to be a new genre of games that come out, similar to how console games and client games and free-to-play games, they all coexist. And sometimes there's kind of hybrids between the two, but this is going to be a new genre of games that come out that are going to start to get popular, I think, over the next couple of years. And a quick story of how I got into this industry is I had actually been investing in ICOs as an investor myself for the past couple of years. But I never had figured out a way for myself to get involved full time until I saw a game come out called CryptoKitties. Somebody sent me a link to CryptoKitties and they're like, hey, this game is really popular, you should check it out. I played it for 5 minutes and I said, this is probably the worst game I've ever seen in my life. And I shut down the internet and I just stopped playing. And then I kept seeing all this news and I'm like, this is so popular, like there's tens of millions of dollars, what's going on? So I actually went back into the game and I realized one key fact was that those CryptoKitties were being stored in my digital wallet and not on the video game servers, which means that I 100% owned those CryptoKitties. And while I didn't necessarily think CryptoKitties was going to be the entire future of blockchain gaming, the concept of ownership of virtual assets was absolutely fascinating to me. As somebody who worked in gold farming and video gaming for years, as somebody who ran a publishing company that dealt with millions of dollars of fraud every year, the concept of being able to own any virtual asset is revolutionary in my opinion, and the whole ERC 721 non-fungible token space is very, very underrated at this point. So player ownership of items. This could be characters, accounts, swords, weapons, potions, whatever you want, you can 100% own it. So this is revolutionary. Number 2 is smart contracts. I'm not going to get into, but we talk about fair gaming. So that could be a poker game, or of course the easiest no-brainer application for blockchain, which is gambling. But also a lot of the RPGs we have out there now with gacha mechanics, which is you have a pack of cards, you open the pack of cards and you have a chance of getting a common card and you have the chance of getting a super epic card. All of those things can be made 100% transparent and put on the blockchain. But the second really, really important thing, and I'm sure everybody who works in the blockchain gaming space is going to talk about this, is the fact that because you 100% own all of your items, you can do whatever you want with them. And that means buying, selling, trading. So if I get a sword in this virtual game, or I put 100 hours into a game, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I don't want to play this role-playing game anymore. I want to go play a war game. I can take all of my assets, I can put them on the marketplace, and somebody else can come and purchase them, and I can take that money and go invest it in a new game. So again, working in the publishing industry in RMT there was so much fraud in the virtual item trading industry for a couple of reasons. Number 1, there is no seller protection for any virtual item on the internet, especially in Western countries. What that means is if I sell you a virtual sword for $100, all you have to do is call MasterCard and say, my son got my credit card and bought that. You know, I want to charge back. And immediately what Visa or MasterCard or PayPal will do is they will refund the person who purchased the items and they will fine us as a seller. So you can't tell somebody, you can't call Visa and be like, no, you know, I met him on his Mage account. We met in the city of Orgrimmar and we really traded. No, like I can send you a screenshot. Visa is not gonna look at that. So because all of the items in a blockchain game are virtual, the currency is virtual and the sword is virtual and you have a smart contract, there is absolutely no chance that anybody can defraud anybody in this transaction, which saves game companies millions of dollars a year, and it also saves players from getting scammed out of all of their items. So again, this market has existed for a while, but smart contracts are perfect for gaming because everything is digital. And of course, we have community involvement, which we've been talking about the concept of IGO, or initial game offering. And this is, again, powered by a combination of both fungible and non-fungible tokens. If you're a 5 to 10 person development team in China or Mexico or United States or Europe or wherever, you don't need to go out and do an ICO for $30 million. You might need $50,000 or $150,000 to get your game up and running. And to do that, you sell an initial amount of items. Those items are scarce. They're never going to exist again. You get the funding for your project. The players in the community is involved in the decision making. And it's a great way for much smaller teams or much smaller projects to get their game out there. And future possibilities. Everybody in this industry, for some reason, keeps talking about the movie Ready Player One. So I'm sure probably most of you guys have seen this movie. Great movie, even better book. But actually, the world of Ready Player One is going to be coming sooner than we think. It might not be in 2 years or 3 years or 5 years or even 10 years, but it's going to come. There's a really interesting thing that blockchain technology allows. It allows virtual worlds to connect seamlessly with real worlds and real economy. If you play a game where all of the items are on the blockchain, where all of the currency is on the blockchain, then you can, without any friction whatsoever, exchange your virtual assets for cash, and these economies can trade with each other. So in the future, again, it's going to be like Ready Player One, where a portion of the population is going to earn their livings inside of a virtual world or a video game. This has actually been happening for the past 15 years, but on a smaller scale. 3 games to look at. Second Life. People make hundreds of thousands a year. It's a sandbox game, and they can buy and trade their, you can create clothing, you can create avatars. People make a lot of money. Entropia Online. Of the top 10 virtual items, most expensive virtual items ever sold, about 6 or 7 of them are from the game Entropia Online. The game's currency trades directly against the dollar 10 to 1. And EVE Online. These are all games that have links with the real world economy, and they're probably a good example of what the future of blockchain games are gonna look like. And of course, you know, this is mostly a gaming crowd, but gaming has the potential to bring a lot of new users into blockchain, which is good for the industry as a whole. Gamers pick up things very quickly, and game designers are really good at getting users to do what they want them to do. All the game designer does is sit around all day and says, I know David's got at least $500 in his pocket. What kind of trick or what can I do to make him play that? I'm gonna ask him for $1 first for something very cheap, and then he's gonna give me 5 and then 10. So game designers are always thinking about user experience and how to onboard new people into a system. And again, as I just mentioned, I'm a realist. I think about 90% of the projects on blockchain, I don't wanna say they're crap, but it's not time for them yet. So my theory is that blockchain is perfect in virtual environments where everything that is happening inside of a virtual world. It's all ones and zeros. Greatest example, finance. Finance is a completely virtual industry. It doesn't really have anything to do with the real world. It's trading, you know, talking about the future values of things. And second is gaming, because a game token is virtual, a game item is virtual, you have smart contracts, there's absolutely no friction. So when we talk about, medical blockchain usages, we talk about supply chain and everything like that, that links to the real world. If we can't build a game on blockchain with 1,000 people playing it, there's not much future for this industry, in my opinion. This should be the first thing that actually takes blockchain mainstream. This is a quick case study of a game we published called Ether Online. It was at one point the second largest game on the blockchain. It's now dropped quite a bit. But this game started with an IGO. It pre-sold pets. It raised $50,000 to $100,000. And the game was actually made up of about 18 different smart contracts that operated how the game works. So very quickly, again, we are a platform where players go to play all different types of blockchain games. So we have, marketplace integrated. We have a wallet coming out very soon. We develop our own games, and we also work with other third-party developers. If you want to know more, you can just go to the website. And again, I'll state one final point, which is reiterating what I just said. Currently, the blockchain market needs applications. We don't need 10,000 different operating systems. Ethereum says Ethereum is an operating system, EOS is an operating system, Neo is an operating system, but none of them have Solitaire or Microsoft Word or any type of application actually on those blockchains that has any scale whatsoever. The next thing that is going to make the industry in general go up and get out of this bear market is going to be somebody coming out with an application that is actually used at a, not massive, but a scale. So it is very important for everybody to pay attention to the gaming industry and blockchain because it has the highest chance of creating an application that is commercially used. And I just hope everybody here, they support, regardless of the project, any blockchain developers or gaming projects out there, because it has the potential to do a great good for the industry in general. So I'll just leave it at that, and thank you very much.